What's the link? Yo. Wait, I forgot a link to my stream. I don't stream often enough. We gotta do it. Hello, hello. What's up, everyone? Can you hear me? And can you see me? And is the music too loud? Just doing a quick stream this morning. Hang out for a little bit. What's up, D9? What's up, Juan? Is this election the worst ever? Probably not, but I mean, it's probably nowhere near the best though. It's probably up there. What's up, Furberg? What's up, Terminus? Are you a Marvel or DC guy? Generally a Marvel guy, but I could appreciate some DC here and there. DC animated movies, there are a lot of really great DC animated movies, a lot of great DC comic books. DC live action movies generally have been pretty mid, if not outright bad. There's a couple good ones. And honestly, I honestly have a controversial opinion. Like, I really like the Flash movie. A lot of people really didn't like that movie, but I enjoyed it. What's up, Joel? What's up, Mayo Bay? I don't know if I pronounced that right. What's your opinion on the concept that a two-party system is designed to divide and conquer and prevent a middle ground from being found? I mean, kinda. I think it's less intentional than that question implies, but I think it's pretty clear that the reason that there's no one has made any effort to change or dismantle the two-party system is because it benefits those two parties, and that's the reason why they're the ones that have all the power. So they have no incentive to get rid of it, and they also have no incentive to like encourage cooperation between the two parties. So there's definitely an aspect of it, but I don't necessarily think that a bunch of people like sat down in a room and were like, we're gonna make this system that is polarizing on purpose. I could be wrong though. I wasn't there. Do I like Weezer? I do like Weezer. Weezer is actually the last, is that right? I think Weezer is the last live concert I went to a couple years ago. I haven't been to a concert in a long time, but the last one I went to, I believe, was Weezer. Flash was more fun than I was expecting. Same. I enjoyed it more than I thought it would. I think it's one of the best DC live action movies. Not that that's saying much. I found you through your Bernie Sanders video. I would love to see a black progressive from the South that won't dodge issues on race. My Bernie Sanders video? Do you mean the why aren't there more black socialists video? I feel like that's the only video I've done that talks about Bernie Sanders extensively. But yeah. I don't know. I think Bernie Sanders did have issues responding to questions about race, but I also think that that's kind of, in my experience, that's been the majority position from socialists and well, I was gonna say social democrats, not really, but yeah, socialists tend to focus on class more than race. That I think that's almost baked into the definition. But a lot of times that's not that convincing to people who are racially marginalized. Do you think the multicam sitcom formula can work today? Well, sure, it can work. But like anything, there are trends and things go to trend. Trends come and go. But people are still making multicam sitcoms. It's just like the most popular shows these days aren't. But like, for example, there are a lot of kids sitcoms that still use multicam formats. There are a lot of black sitcoms, like if you're familiar with like those cable channels like Bounce TV and stuff, there's a bunch of multi-camera sitcoms on there that are thriving, doing pretty well. But yeah, the ones that are like on Netflix and stuff tend to shy away from that. What's up, another Kyle? My partner and I love D&D, but we don't have many opportunities to play. Have you had any experiences using pay-to-play sites like Start Playing? Having any other suggestions? I don't have any experience with pay-to-play sites. I've been fortunate to have a pretty steady group since I first started. So it just kind of depends on your situation. Sorry for the Facebook notification. Anyway. What was I gonna say? Oh, so the easiest way to get D&D started is to run the game. I don't know if that's possible or if you have people that want to play. In my experience, it's not hard to find people who want to play D&D. I think that there are tons of people who are just like you and your partner, and they're looking for other people to invite them to a game. The easiest solution to that is just make the game yourself and be the one that invites people. That's what I did. I got into D&D. I literally called my friends up and was like, hey, do y'all want to play D&D? I have no idea how to play, but I want to play. Let's figure it out. And luckily I found a couple people that were down, and they were some of them were a little skeptical at first. They weren't sure if they were going to like it, but luckily they did like it. Obviously running D&D is a lot more work than playing D&D, but you might like it. I love, like, I'm what you call the forever DM. I rarely get to actually be a player, but that's okay because I love being the DM. So that's cool. What's up, another Kyle? How am I doing? I'm doing fine. Speaking of D&D, I'm gonna go play I'm gonna go play D&D in a few hours, actually. Today. Stitches or staples? I don't understand the context of the question. Is that reference to something that I missed earlier? What's the most tabletop feeling video game in your opinion? Tabletop feeling? I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 is literally D&D the video game. I mean, does that count? I'm 40. Modern sitcoms aren't teaching morals anymore, plus the writing is lazy. Maybe. I think there are plenty of good modern sitcoms. I'm trying to think what the most recent sitcom I've seen is, though. But it's true that the idea of like the moral family sitcom is not as prevalent these days. But there's plenty of good sitcoms that have come out recently. It's Abbott Elementary, It's Always Sunny, Schitt's Creek. Like there's a bunch of good ones. But if you're like trying to harken back to like those really like those family sitcoms, like, you know, like Family Matters and Boy Meets World and stuff like that, there's not too much of that unless you count like kids shows. Do you know who Lo-Fi Girl is? And is it strange that I actually care about this fictional character who studies by her window with her cat all day? She helped me through college. I wish her well. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Is that still a thing? I feel like I heard that got like taken down or something, or it ended or something. Maybe not. But yeah, I could see that. I could see, you know, you kind of like imagining this character as like a person and like imagining what they might be like. I've been watching the old dinosaur sitcom. What a time that was. I missed those gimmicky sitcom days. Yeah, I mean, if you watch my channel recently, I talk about a lot of those old sitcoms a lot. I should make a video about dinosaurs. This is a great show. That show was like, it's so crazy that show existed. It was such a like impressive show. Like those fucking, like, it's like a combination of puppetry and, you know, people in suits, and I think there was some animatronics involved, or maybe it wasn't animatronics, but it was like puppetry and stuff, and it was like so good. Like even to this day, it's super good, and it was just like a TV show. Like it's really crazy that they made that. What's on your roadmap to talk about in the next few months? It just kind of depends. I'm really feeling out what people actually want to see. Because really, I just want to make stuff that people actually want to see. And if people, you know, I've been trying a few things over the past year or so, and some things do well and other things don't do well. I'm really interested in TV shows these days, particularly old TV shows. So probably a lot of stuff related to that. But if it turns out that people aren't interested in hearing about that, then I'll have to figure something else out. But Fair BG3. Weirdly, I feel like New Vegas scratches that tabletop itch too. Yeah, I could see that. I could see, I mean, those like heavy sort of decision making RPGs, like Bethesda games and like yeah, stuff like that. I've been playing, I don't know if you guys remember Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It's an old game that is super underrated. It's an amazing game, and it also happens to be based off of a tabletop RPG, but it's very similar to like Fallout and things like that. Really good game. What are your thoughts on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Top tier sandwich? Absolutely top tier sandwich. I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I truly eat them all the time. I I had a couple peanut butter jelly sandwiches like 2 days ago. It's like it's like a little treat. It's like a dessert. It's like eating cake or something. It's so good. I heard that peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are not popular outside of America, which is unfortunate. Like if you don't live in America, you need to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. In the UK, I believe they would call it peanut butter and jam. I believe in the UK, jelly refers to jello. What we call jello is what they call jelly. And what we call jelly, they call jam. So there's some confusion there. But yeah, it's absolutely top tier sandwich. Oh, Lo-Fi Girls from Studio Ghibli. I didn't know that. Have I seen Girl Meets World? I have seen Girl Meets World. It's fine. It's not as good as Boy Meets World, but I think it's good. It's much more for young kids than Boy Meets World is, so I don't relate to it quite as much, but I think it's a fine show. I think it was one of the better Disney Channel shows. Are you still playing Scrabble? Love that video, by the way. I appreciate that. Yeah, I play here and there. I actually played some Scrabble yesterday. I'm not like super obsessed with it like I was when I made that video, but I still play. I love Studio Ghibli. Me too. I mean, are there people that don't love Studio Ghibli? I'm not sure I trust a person who is like, you know what? I don't like Studio Ghibli. It's like, were you born with a soul? Although I have heard that Hayao Miyazaki was kind of a lunatic. I don't know how true that is. Rest in peace. He's dead, right? I didn't make that up. He's not dead. What the fuck? I could have sworn that he was dead. Never mind. My bad. Who am I thinking of? Maybe I'm thinking of like another like animator. The puppetry of dinosaurs still looks great. Yeah, it totally does. Which was the best year of this millennium? Which was the worst? This millennium? This millennium? You mean like the last 1,000 years? Or do you just mean since 2000? um, it's definitely not any of the years since 2019. I'll tell you that. It's probably pre 2016. Like, oh, 04 maybe. Favorite rock band, if any, Nirvana. What's weird is it was pitched as Disney's response to Simpsons. What, Studio Ghibli? In Italy, we go butter and jelly. Just like regular butter. Honestly, that's probably fine. Butter and bread, it just goes together, in my opinion. You can put almost anything on it and it will be good. Best book you have read recently. Best book I have read recently. It's hard to for me to suggest a book because I've been reading a lot of books that are very specific to me and what I'm interested in. I read a lot of lately I'm kind of on a personal development kick, so I read a lot of personal development books and like books that teach me stuff. But as for like a general book that I recommend in that vein, there's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's an amazing book. If you want to learn how to build good habits and break bad habits, I highly recommend the book Atomic Habits. Chillcast, what's up? I don't know if that's what you go by, Chillcast or whatever, but I'll just call you by your screen name. Favorite 1960s music artist? 1960s? I don't know, the Beatles? Seems like an obvious answer. I'm sure there's another answer, but I can't really think of one. I guess I didn't get into a lot of 1960s music. Arian Teal says, "Where have you been?" I've been around. I haven't streamed in a while, but I'm on the internet. I put out a video 2 weeks ago. I'm on Threads. Follow me on Threads if you want to like hear from me a lot. I have a Discord server that you guys can join if you like. I'm on there pretty relatively frequently. Does this command still work? It doesn't work. I gotta fix that. Oh no, it does work. Cool. Appreciate a response to my D&D question. My partner and I are definitely hesitant to DM our own games. Mostly self-confidence issues in my storytelling capabilities, but maybe we'll give it a shot. Well, you don't have to. I mean, you can find/purchase a pre-written module and just do what it says in the book. You don't really have to make up your own story. But the thing about running a game is it is less of a big deal than you think it's going to be. Because here's the thing, you get to make everything up. I feel like people forget that part. Everyone's following your lead. It's not like you're performing and being judged by the players. No, they are looking to you for the guidance. So you make everything up. You kind of dictate whether something is working or not. But the easiest thing to do is just find, like, you can go online, just search like free D&D one shot. Better yet, look up Matt Colville. He has a video. Let me look it up real quick. I think it's just called Running the Game. Matt Colville, Running the Game. Matt Colville, Your First Adventure. Look up that, and he gives you an extremely easy D&D adventure that you can make on your own for free. It's not, you know, the goal is not to be some amazing narrator. The goal is just to play a game with your friends and have fun. Like, I don't know if you watch like Critical Role and Dimension 20 and all that stuff. And I think people watch that stuff and they think, oh man, I can never tell a story like that. These people are professional performers. That's not what we're aiming for. I mean, if you want to shoot for that in the future, you can, but all you're doing is playing a game with your friends. It can be as simple as you walk into a cave, goblins attack, roll initiative. And that's it. That's what you do for the whole session. And it's fun. It's about having fun. It's not about trying to, you know, win some kind of award for storytelling. So I'm behind on the comments, so I apologize if it takes a while to catch up, but I am trying to answer most of the questions. What's up, Jason Washington? Greetings from Germany. That's what's up. What side were you on during the Kendrick v. Aubrey rap beef? Well, honestly, I wasn't following it really. I kind of caught up later. But I mean, I like Kendrick Lamar more than Drake in general. So I was, and also Kendrick made better songs in the in the beef. So, but overall, the whole thing was pretty cringe, in my opinion. How do you see ChatGPT AI disrupting different industries? Are we going to lose our jobs eventually? Yeah, probably. I think, I don't know, the AI thing is very nuanced. But yes, in general, automation and robotics and all kinds of stuff are going to take our jobs. 1000% that's going to happen. So it's really up to us to have a system in place to prevent that from being a huge disaster. I've gone on record. I don't know if it's controversial, but I kind of disagree with the entire idea of a labor focused society. I don't think that people should have to work to live. And I think if our governments believed that, then AI taking our jobs would not be that big of a deal. But yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of jobs, there are plenty of jobs that are oblivious. What's the word I'm thinking of? Obsolete, not oblivious. Sorry. There are plenty of jobs that are obsolete now due to increases in technology, and that's going to continue to happen. It will probably continue to happen till the end of time. What's your favorite trash food and what's your favorite healthy food? My favorite trash food. There's a lot, man. I like chicken fingers a lot. I really like chicken fingers. I really like brownies. I think those are probably my top two like trash foods right now. Oh, I also really like gummy candy, like gummy worms. I love that shit. Favorite healthy food? I love grapes. I love spinach. And I love chicken that's not fried also. So that's what comes to mind. If you could pick anyone to be president, who would you pick? I would pick Jon Stewart. A lot of people say that. I think Jon Stewart, I don't think he wants to be president. I don't know. It's hard to say. I just want someone who would be good at the job and who isn't like a sociopath. I think I would want someone with political experience too, but most people who are politicians are kind of cringe, so I don't know. I don't know. I can't even think of anybody. I would say Bernie Sanders, but that dude's super old. Maybe AOC. Apparently, AOC is not cool anymore. She was like the darling of the left for a little while, but I think people found out that she was liberal and they weren't into it. Lo-Fi Girl was influenced by Studio Ghibli. It is not made by Studio Ghibli. Oh, okay. And Miyazaki is unsatisfied with how anime turned out and disappointed in the audience in general. I think more grumpy than lunatic, if you ask me. Yeah, I was being a little bit hyperbolic, but yeah, I've heard that he's like has like a bad attitude and is kind of mean. I don't know the details. I'm just going off what other people have said. Hayao Miyazaki even walked out of his son's first movie. Jesus. Do you play video games? If so, what's the last game you really liked? I'm not a big gamer. The thing with me is I get into very specific games intensely. Like I was really into Overwatch for a long time, but I haven't played in a couple months. I play WoW every now and then. Like I have like peaks and valleys where I play WoW like really heavily and then I just drop out for like 3 years. I like competitive games. I play like fighting games and stuff. I was playing a lot of Street Fighter 6. So yeah, stuff like that. I honestly don't play that many single player games. I'm trying to remember the last single player game I really played. Well, I played Baldur's Gate 3. That was probably the last game I really played for real, besides, you know, like competitive multiplayer games. But yeah, I'm not like a super huge gamer, which is, you know, it's kind of melancholy for me because I used to be a really big gamer, but my love for video games has kind of like been tempered over the years. I just don't care as much as I used to. I mean, I still play certain things. It just has to be something I'm like really interested in. What is your opinion on gnomes? Gnomes? You gotta be more specific. What kind of gnomes? Are you an indica guy or sativa? Both are fine. I don't think I have a preference. Hey bro, your 10K YouTube guidebook thing has been super helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, for those that don't know, I wrote an ebook for small YouTube creators, just giving like advice about how to like get your channel off the ground. I sent out some like advanced copies to people, but the official book will be coming out in a few days. So keep an eye out for that if you happen to be a creator or if you know someone that happens to be a creator. It's basically a book of the things that I wish I knew when I first got started on YouTube. Thanks for demystifying running D&D games, man. Exactly the stuff I needed to hear. I'll check that video out for sure. I've been the type to build up a dice collection and barely use them. Yeah, I mean there is you know, you do have to sort of swallow your anxiety and just do the thing. There is that sort of getting over the hump, but I think once you do that, you realize it's not that big a deal. And I think you get like more and more inspired the more you do it. Like the first thing I did is I bought the starter set, the D&D starter set, and just ran it for my friends. But I'm, you know, I don't know what kind of person you are, but I'm just I like being creative. So it was kind of right up my alley. I like telling stories and I like making stuff. So I bought the starter set, but I immediately started adding my own stuff and making up characters and stuff. But that's just my disposition. Not everybody else will do that, I'm sure. But, you know, the Matt Coble video I mentioned, I think his thing is literally the party goes to like a temple and they fight some goblins and then there's a boss and there's a puzzle and that's it. There's, you know, it's not like this super deep thing. What is your favorite season? Like season of the year? Definitely autumn/fall. Best season for sure. Okay, I'm way behind on the comments. I'm still gonna go through them though. What's the mass of the proton? I don't know. Is this a trivia question? Do I detox my locks? If so, how often? I don't do anything to my locks. My locks are 100% untouched, unblemished, natural. I've never done anything to my hair besides let it grow. Do you ever get bored, like for more than just an hour or two, but for like a few days, once all your work and stuff is done, you just don't want to do anything you normally do? What do you do then? Not really. I think I used to do that, but I feel like there's no reason to be bored if you don't want to, or if you don't like, there's always something to do. And that's what I've realized more recently is, and it's actually something that I've been thinking about, very specifically, is like, because when I get bored, that's when I start doing things that aren't necessarily healthy, like overeating or like drinking alcohol and things like that. So I've been trying to like channel my boredom into more productive things. And once you think about that more intentionally, you start to realize that there is always something productive that you could be doing, or something fun, you know. You can catch up on a book, you can do some work, you can clean up your apartment, you can work out, you can meditate, you know. There's like no reason to be bored. And I don't really deal with like extensive boredom anymore, because there's just always something to do. Especially for me as a content creator, like there's always something content related that I could be working on. This is not to say I never like take breaks or anything. I will definitely have lazy days where I'll just sit around for like 8 hours watching YouTube. That happens. But when you say like days and days of boredom, that doesn't really happen to me anymore. It definitely used to though. If you could pick any streamer to be president, who? Any streamer? I don't know that many streamers. I don't know. Ludwig, he seems cool. Let's see. At this point, I look at towns who vote a cat as mayor, and now I think they were ahead of their time. Yeah, I wouldn't want Jon Stewart fixing my toilet. I don't want the qualification for presidency to be cool public person. Well, to be fair, Jon Stewart is more than just a cool public person. He is like a politically intelligent person who seems to like have compassion. I think people say they like Jon Stewart for president because he is like, he seems to be politically competent. But I think it's more than just like being intelligent. You know, it's about having experience and know how to like navigate political office and stuff. So I don't know. Question: I've been watching The Boys recently, and you know what thought I had? Is this a level of unsubtlety you have to go with? Satire to make right wingers get the target. I actually haven't seen The Boys, but I have heard the discourse surrounding The Boys, and I doubt that they are trying to make right wingers get that they're the target. I think they're just trying to tell a story. And after a show has been on for a while, there's only so much subtlety you can have, you know. It's like, well, we've kind of hinted at this for a while. It's time to actually start doing something. Who did you romance in BG3? Lazelle, 100%. There's always Guild Wars 2 that's free if you want to try something that's competitive and different. I played Guild Wars 2 a long time ago, actually. I remember it being pretty cool. What class did I play? In what? Sorry, I'm behind on the comments, and we've talked about many things that this could refer to. Baldur's Gate, WoW, D&D. Life is hard. What keeps you going? I don't know. I have ambitions, and you know, I have an idea for the type of life that I want to live, and to me, just saying life is hard and then just like throwing up your hands and being like, well, life is hard, what are you gonna do? Like, to me, that's just like not the way to be. Like, in my opinion, if you don't like your life, then figure out how to make it better. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I have things that I want to do and goals, and I work towards my goals, and that's what I do, and that's what keeps me going. Do I play Tekken 8? I haven't played Tekken 8 yet, which is kind of surprising, actually, because I loved Tekken 7. That's like one of my all-time favorite fighting games, but I just haven't gotten around to Tekken 8 yet. But I will. I definitely will at some point. Miguel isn't in the game though, which kind of sucks, because Miguel is who I mained in 7. That's right though. He's not in the game, right? In the punishment games known as World of Tanks and War Thunder, if you're a masochist and super competitive, there's that too. There's plenty of stuff to get into lately. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I need to try. Do you think the way that Destiny, the live streamer, has been treated is similar to what Romans did to Jesus and how he was oppressed and persecuted? Is this a troll? Did you just compare Destiny to Jesus? Thank you for the kind words, Gerald Lancaster. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Kofi. Is that Kofi's Way? Looks like Helldivers 2 is finally started to lose team. That's another game I haven't played. What's up, Vince? No question, just wanted to say hey and thanks for giving me something to listen to while grocery shopping and trying to ignore my staff blowing up my phone over the CrowdStrike outage. Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. As a content creator, how do you... One sec. As a content creator, how do you weather negativity like comments about your views or analysis being questioned or doubted, etc.? Well, weird and stupid and mean comments are one of the many reasons that I don't do politics content anymore. I can handle negative comments about, you know, silly TV shows more than I can handle negative comments about, like, you know, whether trans people deserve to be treated like humans, you know? So a lot of it is just avoiding certain topics, which, you know, it's kind of sad that you have to do that, but that's what you have to do on the internet. But outside of that, I just don't expose myself to it as much as possible. Like, I don't sit, like, I read comments here and there, but I don't just like sit and like read the comments. I don't doom scroll. I try not to, like, you know, I try not to be like controversial and stuff anymore. I think I used to do that, but I don't know. I intentionally behave in a way that promotes peace. So I don't invite negativity as much as possible. Obviously, you're still going to get it, but you get it much less if you don't invite it. You know, if you're not being an edgelord, you know, hyperbolic, negative, mean-spirited person on the internet, you get way less negativity. Well, in my experience, you know, if you're like a woman or like a LGBTQ person on the internet, you'll probably get just unavoidable negativity. But for me, if I just don't invite it, it's much less likely to happen. Ask you anything? Sure. I mean, I'm not gonna answer everything, but I will answer most things. Like, if you ask for my like social security number, I'm not gonna tell you, but I'm a pretty open person. Who is your daddy and what does he do? I mean, I get the reference. I don't know if I should answer. Do I play any musical instruments? Do you have a favorite? Not really. I used to dabble with the guitar, but I'm not very good at it. Will ever do a Native American video? What kind of Native American video? I mean, I don't make videos about politics or race anymore, so if that's what you mean, no. I have talked about Native Americans in videos before. I've never done a whole video specifically around Native Americans, though. The nice thing about TPRPGs is with 3D printing as cheap as it is, you can make some pretty nice miniatures and scenery without paying questionable prices. Word. Yeah, my buddy just bought a 3D printer. I'm been trying to hit him up to let me use it, but he hasn't like set it up yet. Destiny should be president. You really like Destiny, don't it? President Camacho is running. Are you a Marxist communist? I am not. How was my day? Well, my day's just getting started. It's like 10 in the morning right now, or 10:38. And I really haven't done much today. I did like exercise a little bit and did like clean the kitchen, but that's about it. But overall, it's a good day. Jon Stewart's show was satire until it became the things that it was mocking. In what way did it become what it was mocking? It's too hot out. How do you stay cool? By not going outside. If you do end up playing Tekken 8, would you consider playing a match against FD Signifier? Sure. He would wash me though, but I'd play him. He's quite good at Tekken. I just watched him at Evo. What music do I listen to? I don't really keep up with music, just kind of whatever random stuff I stumble across here and there. But in general, just the stuff that I grew up listening to, like old grunge and early 2000s hip hop, stuff like that. I think a bearable hard life is fine because difficulties are what helps shape who you will become. In some ways, yes. Well, sure, but in order for that to happen, you have to learn, or you have to use those challenges and use them to improve yourself and your situation. If you're just wallowing in misery, that's no way to live. Like when people say the difficulties, you learn from your difficulties, you become stronger because of your difficulties, you have to actually come out the other side, you know? You don't just stay in it. That's not what people mean when they say that. Why did you delete the memory video? I wanted to go back to it to refresh on some tips and it was gone. I deleted it because I decided that it didn't fit the scope of this channel. However, you can still find that video on my second channel. I'll drop a link. It's called Stay Heiko. What do you think of people who thrive on negativity? I can put myself in the shoes of a lot of people, but the people who revel in drama, I just don't understand. What do I think of it? I think it's bad. It's one of the reasons why I think social media was a mistake, is because it hyper promotes negativity and people who are negative. And I personally try to stay away from that. And I've more recently in the last few years decided to try not to spend a lot of time around people like that. And yeah, it's just not my jam. I don't think it's a healthy. I don't like it. And it's kind of hard for me because I think it's very common in certain places, especially like where I live. It's very like everyone's fucking sad and angry all the time. It's like I can't deal with this. It's just, I don't know, it's just not a way to live. You're just not gonna have a good life if that's the way you are. Human beings are interesting because they are cooperative yet thrive with strife and difficulty. Maybe that's what makes them grow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we thrive with strife and difficulty among ourselves, but you know, there are definitely challenges that humans face and will always face, and I think those challenges are what makes us who we are. But ultimately, cooperation, I think, is key to almost everything. What's something that you really like that someone who came across your channel wouldn't necessarily assume you're into? Well, I always say D&D, but I feel like at this point everyone knows that I like D&D. There's a lot of things: fighting games, pro wrestling, what else? Fitness, cooking. I don't know, that's what comes to mind. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Those are the things that come to mind. Those are like the main things. When you decided to post on YouTube, how did you get over any hesitations or doubts or excuses you had to stop you? I don't think I had that, because this is the way I am. I just like to make stuff and share it with people. And so I was very enthusiastic about doing that as soon as I found YouTube. I didn't really have any hesitations. I'm just the type of person that loves to create things. So I jump on any opportunity to do that. Sorry, one last content creation. You don't have to apologize. It literally, the title says, ask me literally anything. That's the point. How do you focus more on the positive comments if it's the majority than the negative and hateful ones? How do you focus? I don't know. I don't think that you can. I think it's contrary to how the human brain works. I mean, I'm sure you could train yourself to do it, but you just have to be mindful about how you feel. I think this is just a good tip for life, is when you feel something, when you react to something, take a second and think about it rationally. So like if you see a negative comment and you get like really bummed about it, just take a step back and think about it for a second and be like, okay, why am I so upset about this? Is this like, am I being reasonable? Is this comment actually like a big deal, or is it actually something that I should be this upset about? Am I overlooking the fact that there's way more positivity than negativity? You just have to think about stuff. It may not necessarily make you feel less upset, but you'll at least understand why you feel that way. And, you know, it'll probably make you get over it quicker, and it'll prevent you from, you know, going into a spiral sometimes. But I think the human brain is conditioned to focus on negativity. It's like our survival instinct. That's how early humans survived, is by paying attention to threats. So it's not like a thing you can just turn off, I don't think. But human brains are also malleable, and I think it is something that you can fix. But I can't say that I've fixed it. But I do think that I'm able to like be introspective and kind of think about things and realize why I feel the way I feel. Also, you know, just walk away. You know, there's a lot of times where I catch myself reading comments and I'll read something that like makes me upset, and then I'm like, okay, I need to just stop looking at this, and then I just get up and go do something else. And then, you know, by the time 10 minutes pass, I've completely forgot about it. Who's my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon? I don't know. The only Pokemon that I am familiar with is Gen 1, and my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon is Scyther. Definitely the coolest Gen 1 Pokemon. I've been playing guitar for 30 years and I'm still no good. I just bought a bunch of other instruments I'm even worse at. Well, I guess that's something. But yeah, I tried guitar for a while, just never stuck with it. It's, you know, it just wasn't my passion, I guess. And that's fine. I wanted to learn guitar mainly because I thought it would be cool to know how to play the guitar, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't something I was that passionate about. So I never kept up with it, and thus never got beyond the absolute basics. History-based channels would be best for that. Probably that way they could go with the broken treaty angle to make people more aware of native issues, in my not so humble opinion. Yeah, there's probably channels that already do that. How's the transition to non-political vids gone? You feel good or are you still adjusting? I think it's cool. I think the main thing is trying to figure out what the audience wants to watch. Like I'm enjoying making videos, but for this is like my job. So if I get no views, I get no money. So I have to make stuff that people actually want to see. And I haven't figured out like consistently what people want to see. But also I want to take the channel to like the next level, you know? Like I really want to figure out how to really blow this channel up. And I haven't really figured that out yet. So, but I'm working on it. I'm having fun and still going. I prefer it tremendously to the political stuff. It's more fun. It's less, causes less stress. It just doesn't consistently get the views. That's what I'm working on. Are you open to collaborations, or do you prefer to work alone? I'm completely open to collaborations. What do you think of FD Signifier? He's cool. I mean, we're cool. I talked to him here and there. And we've worked together a couple times. Cool guy. Just want to say you were the most chill left tuber by a long shot. Would be cool to see you on Destiny or Kamal's stream if you get the chance. I don't think I know who Kamal is. But yeah, I mean, if they want to talk to me, I guess. I don't necessarily want to talk about politics these days, unless, I mean, I guess I could talk about politics, but I'm way less in the loop when it comes to politics, so they probably wouldn't want to talk to me. Maybe the Daily Show had more to lose as it became more popular, so it started becoming more safe and taking less risk for fear of losing revenue. I don't know that I agree with this characterization of the Daily Show. Is it more safe? I don't know that's if it is. I mean, it's like the same. I don't know, maybe. Am I gonna watch the Evo Top 6s today? I'll probably catch it later. Appreciate it, EV. Native American people watch YouTube, and unfortunately not many of them are creators and might not be healthy to watch content and videos only from dominant society or perspectives. I actually did a little bit of a dive into the Native community on YouTube. There's like a small community. I didn't find any super large creators, but there's like a small community. It's pretty cool. What 3 experiences, pieces of art, conversations have inspired you and affected your work the most? I mean, that's hard to even think of 3. I can name a lot of YouTubers that I've been inspired by. I think the biggest example would be the Vlogbrothers. I think they're probably my biggest YouTube inspiration. They are kind of like what made me want to do YouTube. And also, like, they kind of inspired me to make, you know, positive, nuanced content. But there's a lot of YouTubers that I like that kind of influenced me throughout the years. Anacana, Wheezy Waiter, Ray William Johnson, Ryan Trahan, Mr. Beast, Lindsay Ellis, ContraPoints, like all those people kind of influenced. And if you look hard enough, you can probably see their influence in my work. As for like experiences, conversations, I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. If a zombie apocalypse ever happened, do you think a shopping mall would be a safe bet, or do you think the National Guard would take them over and shoot you on sight when you got there? I feel like every zombie movie ever has shown that shopping mall is like the worst place to go during a zombie apocalypse. I don't know. I have a hot take that if there was a zombie apocalypse, it would be contained pretty quickly in real life. Zombies, it depends though. If they're just the typical like slow zombies, there's no way that shit would last a day tops. Now, if they're like super powered zombies or some shit, or if they're like, you know, like the monsters in I Am Legend or something like that, maybe. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like a wide open space like a mall is probably not a good idea. A space with a whole bunch of doors and windows and stuff, probably not a good idea. Civil discourse is a novelty. Thanks for authentically sharing. Many worry about canceling. Time to play some DDO. Take care, all. Thanks for stopping by. Keeping on the zombie apocalypse theme, who are the must-have people / skills on your apocalypse team? Single greatest weapon, best location to ride it out. Again, it depends on what type of zombies you're talking about and what their weaknesses are. Like for example, typically you see that basically like the only way to kill zombies is like a shot to the head, like with a bullet or like with a blunt weapon. And that's rough because that means you have to be good at shooting or you have to be strong, which not everybody is. In fact, probably most people aren't. So in that case, you probably need like, I feel like you just need to get like a big truck or something and just run them over. Or maybe like explosives. But if you get like the really like weak, fragile zombies where you can just like, you know, shoot them a few times in the chest and they fall over, then probably just some guns will work. Are there any good zombie-based tabletop games? Well, there is a zombie TTRPG, right? What's it called? Is it Outbreak? Or yeah, Outbreak Undead is one. I haven't played it, but I've heard good things about it. And I think there's another one too. I can't remember. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely some TTRPGs. As far as like board games, I'm not sure. When you switch, do you notice a change in demographics with the viewers? Yep, there's a lot less women here now. I had way more female viewers when I was making politics views in like social justice videos. But they all left. They didn't all leave, but it's definitely way less now. Thoughts on upcoming Olympics? I guess I don't really have any thoughts. I haven't thought about it really. I've been meaning to check out Reservation Dogs. I never saw it. Favorite Power Ranger of all time? Well, I'm only familiar with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the OG Power Rangers. And I just feel like growing up, it was my duty to support the Black Ranger. So I have to say the Black Ranger. Plus he was cool. I mean, he was like the coolest guy on the team for sure. Do you enjoy live streaming or making scripted videos more? I don't know. They're both good in different ways. I guess I enjoy making scripted videos more, but live streaming is really fun. I struggle with social situation, especially with people that don't share my interests. Do you have any insights? People that don't share your interests. This is a weird way to put it. It sounds like a very self-centered way to approach social situations. Like, have you ever considered showing interest in other people's interests? Like, that's probably the best way to get people to talk to you or to have conversations, is to show interest in other people. It's a bit weird to go into situations hoping that people share your interests. So that would probably be my insight for that, is try to develop an interest in other people and their interests. And you'll find that the vast majority of people are interesting. Even if what they're interested in is something that you have never thought about or never participated in, if you think of what other people are into and why they're into it and try to think of it from their perspective, you can find interest in pretty much anything. I see you're moving away from political topics, but most of your vids are of political topics. What content will fill that gap? Should collaborate with RBN and Destiny is not left. I'm sorry, but I cannot read this. I don't know if there's like typos or something or autocorrect, but I don't understand. Most of your vids are of political topics. I don't know. They're not. At least not now. Maybe the old ones. But I think I may be just misunderstanding the post. Have I thought about metallurgy? No. Like, what about metallurgy? I've noticed a lot of your polls going up. Are you feeling out of potential video topics or just get random curiosities? It's the latter, just random curiosities. I realized recently that I have a lot of people that will respond to polls, so it's just a good way to learn like general ideas on things that I never knew, you know. Yeah, there's just, I never knew, like, that I've never talked to a lot of people about. Like how people put toothpaste on their toothbrush. I always thought the way I did it was the way that everybody did it, but it's definitely not. Different people do it differently. Given the response to COVID, if zombism is transmissible, we're fucked. Well, if it takes a long time for it to happen, then maybe. But if it's like the movies where you get bit and you immediately turn into a zombie, I would like to think that people would pay attention to that. But honestly, you might have a point. I find it fascinating that in a country where mass pew-pewing are literally a common occurrence, people actually have complex thoughts about what they would do in a zombie apocalypse. Well, that's because in every zombie movie, people have guns, but everything still goes to shit. So the idea is probably having guns would not in and of itself solve the problem. But this is you know, I know that we're kind of being light and tongue in cheek here, but something that I've noticed is that unlike the movies, like most movies that involve like monsters or people like getting trapped in a deadly situation, most movies kind of explore the idea that people are the real problem and that in those situations all the humans are going to turn against each other. But in real life, that's not really what happens. In life or death situations, humans always cooperate with each other. In like, you know, like grave in your face life or death situations. In situations that don't feel life or death, yeah, we're shitty. We suck. And the fact that most people don't have to deal with life or death situations that often is why we feel okay to be like super shitty to each other. Not that I'm saying that we should deal with life or death situations all the time, but whenever we do, people always cooperate. You know, look at you see all these stories of people working together to like save someone in danger. Or like, you know, I saw a video where I think it was like a cyclist got hit by a car or something, and there was like a car on top of him, and like 50 people just emerged from nowhere to come and lift this car off this person. You know, I think that's what people actually do in those kinds of situations. I'm sure many of those people had like different politics and different things like that, but in that moment they all came together to help someone. So I don't think it would be like the movies in real life if there was like a deadly zombie apocalypse. I think we would work together and figure it out. But the problem is stuff like that doesn't happen that often. So, you know, when we do have a deadly virus, it's a virus that you have a low chance of getting, and when you get it, you have a low chance of dying. So a lot of people don't take it seriously, even though it does kill a lot of people. And that's usually what we have to deal with. We deal with very nuanced things like that. We don't deal with very like, if we don't act, we're gonna die immediately. What's up, Amesy Wamesy from Gibraltar? Metallurgy. I mean, I know what metallurgy is. It just seemed like a very random topic. It's interesting, but yeah, it's not something I think about on a day-to-day basis. Do I like Big Crit? I like what I've heard. I'm not like a super fan or anything. Wait, there's different ways to put toothpaste on a brush? Yes, there is. Some people, like for me, for example, I get my toothbrush, I wet it with the water, I put toothpaste on, and then I brush. A lot of people, in fact, I think more people get the toothpaste or get the toothbrush and then put the toothpaste on first and then wet it and then brush, which is crazy to me. But I think more people do that than what I do. And then some people do both or do a combination where they get the toothbrush, wet it, then put the toothpaste on, then wet it again and then brush. And there are a few like sociopaths that get the toothbrush and then put the toothpaste on and then just brush without wetting it at all, which is like, what's going on? I think the Thing is an interesting exception because the nature of the Thing attacking the group makes them have to distrust each other. Yeah, that's why the Thing is such a legendary movie, because it like that's really scary when you can't trust, when you know you can't trust people. And there are some movies that that explore that. And honestly, a lot of times those are the ones that are more interesting to me. Have I seen any shows that I liked recently? I haven't watched any recent shows. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch YouTube. That's mainly what I do. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any shows. You know what show's actually kind of decent that no one seemed to like is Twisted Metal. They made the adaptation of Twisted Metal. It's pretty good. It's a super cheesy show, but it knows that it is. It's that on purpose, and I found it very entertaining. And that came out like a year ago or something, or a little less than a year ago. And I liked Echo, but I like all Marvel stuff, so I'm not really the best person to talk about that. But yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV shows. Ask me anything about YouTube. Well, not anything, but I can talk a lot more about YouTube than anything else. Excuse me. Thoughts on Sailor Moon? Sailor Moon is fine. I'm not a big Sailor Moon guy, but it's clearly a legendary show, and it's fine from what I remember. Wasn't really the target audience, but that's neither here nor there. I and many other people watch a lot of shows for which we're not the target audience. I think you're right that we work together when you see the problem. I guess the concern is that zombie movies, shows, books, games usually treat the condition as viral transmissible. Yeah, I mean, that's why I think it would be a problem, but I think it would be solved pretty quickly. Once people start seeing monsters roaming around, we will be like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's work together. Even when it comes to COVID, like there were a lot of people who didn't cooperate, but there were a lot of people who did cooperate as well. Do you think in a zombie apocalypse, there will still be people exploiting the disaster for clicks? Absolutely. Will zombies turn all your kids into gay trans? Absolutely, that's gonna happen. Yeah, unfortunately. There's gonna be people making content. There's gonna be people selling stuff. There's gonna be like religious nuts trying to convert people. Yeah. Yeah, see, I think most people put the toothpaste on the brush first, but that's just not what I was taught growing up. Those people just listen to the 10th Dentist. Oh, you like Twisted Metal too? I thought it was going to be controversial because I feel like it didn't get good reviews, and I hear literally no one talking about it, but I enjoyed it a lot. Are there any YouTube channels you've discovered recently that you'd recommend? Recently, let's see. Wait, let me look at my subscriptions. Who have I subscribed to recently? A lot of my YouTube stuff is very niche to my interests, but Dodford is a good video essay channel if you're into that. I didn't subscribe to him super recently, but maybe within the last year for sure. Can I like filter my subscriptions by the date that I subscribe? Wait. I really like Cleo Abram. It's kind of like a tech adjacent YouTuber. Just like, not like tech reviews, but like tech stories. And I have, you know, I have a lot of like niche interests, so there's a lot of channels that are just that make stuff that I'm personally interested in, like chess and fitness and gaming and stuff like that. Like there's a channel that I really like called You Can Beat Video Games, and all it is just tutorials on how to beat retro video games, and I just love them. I love these videos. Karen Puzzles is a good game, or sorry, a good channel. It's literally a jigsaw puzzle channel. I don't even do jigsaw puzzles, but it's just very interesting to me. And she's like an OG YouTuber. She's been around for a long time. Karen Cabot, if you happen to know who that is. She used to be a somewhat big YouTuber back in the day. Have you noticed that YouTube is recommending weird things lately? Like the algorithm really wants me to watch Mr. Beast all of a sudden. I've never seen a single video of his. Well, Mr. Beast in general is favored by the algorithm just because he gets so many views that YouTube just assumes that everybody wants to watch Mr. Beast because it's so universally enjoyed that I think it just by default recommends to everybody until you like make it clear that you don't want to. I will say though, Mr. Beast makes good videos. You should check it out. There are probably some that you will like more than others, but the content is actually really good in my opinion. It's not for everyone, but I love it. But I have been being recommended a lot of weird things that I wouldn't necessarily be interested in, but that's fine, I guess. You know, I'm all about people getting views. You know, I would like to be recommended to people, so I can't begrudge other people for being recommended. In The Last of Us, I always thought that the sheer amount of zombies that each individual character takes down and the time since the outbreak happened meant there shouldn't be that many zombies. Well, in The Last of Us, isn't like most of humanity been turned to zombies? Is that right? I actually have not played through The Last of Us. But if that's the case, you know, there's a lot of damn people. So, okay, we got some Twisted Metal fans here. Makes me feel better. I thought it was people gonna be like, yeah, that shit sucked. Your opinions are dumb. That's exactly what I mean. I'm super interested in what others do, but I have no idea how to get people to talk about their interests. I feel nosy or like a burden because they have to educate me. Well, here's the thing, and a lot of this is just going to be you getting over your anxiety, and that is something that I can't fix. That's like a brain problem. A lot of it, honestly, a lot of people don't like this advice, but I always say fake it until you make it. Like, pretend to be the person that you want to be, and eventually it will just become normal. But from a rational perspective, almost everyone loves to talk about themselves. So you should not feel like a burden, because people love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about their interests, and they love to educate people on their interests, especially men. Like, if you come up to me and ask me, hey, can you teach me about D&D? I will be so happy. I promise it would never feel like a burden. And I think most people feel that way. You know, if you come up to me and be like, can you give me your insight on YouTube and how to make YouTube, how to do YouTube, I'm happy to talk about that. So in general, people love to talk about themselves. But even if you know that rationally, you may still have anxiety about it. And again, that's the part that I can't really fix. That's something that you're going to have to like work on in whatever way works for you, whether it's just faking it until you make it, or, you know, like meditating to calm your anxiety, or whatever you have to do. I think that's beyond the scope of any abilities that I have. I can help you from a rational perspective, but that's about it. Have I seen the videos of people playing Punch-Out blindfolded? Oh yeah. One of the top Punch-Out speedrunners, Zallard, I think it's Zallard his name is. Dude's dope. I subscribe to his channel. He like uploads all these speed runs and different challenges and stuff that he does. It's crazy. Do you have any feelings about the downfall of malls? Did you ever hang out at malls as a kid? I'm a bit obsessed with watching videos of decayed, crumbling shopping malls. I definitely hung out with at malls as a kid, and I kind of have like nostalgia for malls, but now I have really no desire to go to a mall. I think even if there were malls, I wouldn't go. But I appreciated malls as kind of a interesting, safe place for young people to hang out. Like, it was good for that. And depending on where the mall is and what it was, there are often like really cool spots inside of the mall. So I do kind of miss that. I miss the arcade at my old mall. There was like this dope arcade at the mall, but pretty much all of the malls in my city have been shut down. So there's like one left, I think. Blindfolded Punch-Out is awesome. Yeah. There's some crazy blindfolded gameplay and speedruns and stuff. Like, someone beat Sekiro blindfolded, which I can't even comprehend how that is possible. Like, an arcade style game like Punch-Out, that's a little more understandable to me, because it's a very simplistic game where there's only a certain amount of actions you can perform. But like a full like open world game like Sekiro is wild. In The Last of Us, there are big settlements of people left though with heavy weaponry. Yeah. What's like the human to zombie ratio in Last of Us? That's something to think about too, is what's the human to zombie ratio? It's probably different in different properties. Like in a movie like Train to Busan, for example, there's only a small amount of zombies, at least from what we see, because they're all kind of contained to one spot. But even those zombies do cause some havoc. But then we have like Dawn of the Dead and that series where it's like a decent amount of people have become zombies. And then we have stuff like I Am Legend, which technically they're not zombies, but they're like basically zombies. Where it's like most humans are zombies. Like 99% of humans are zombies, either dead or zombies. So what's my favorite pizza? I'm like super basic when it comes to pizza. You just give me like a meat lover's pizza. Really not. I just like pepperoni and bacon. I just like meat. I think if it came down to it, I would just order pepperoni and bacon and that'd be fine. I don't get too fancy with pizza. Do I have any pets? Nope, I do not. Exactly what you always order. It's good. I mean, pork. I don't mind other pizza toppings, but that's probably, if it came down to it, that's what I would order. Favorite pizza place? I don't know, man. There are so many pizza places in my city. And I can barely like keep track of all of them in my head. There's a place, Davenport's Pizza, I think is still open. That's pretty good. I think that's a local spot though. And then, of course, you know, there's like the major pizza brands, like I don't know what you would call it, like the fast food pizza, maybe. Of those, Domino's is my favorite. I think Pizza Hut is bad. Papa John's is okay. Little Caesars is bad. But I don't know, is it like this in other cities? There's like 10 different pizza places within 20 miles of any location in my city. Like, that seems like a lot. Pizza is your personal favorite? Maybe the Pizza Hut where you live is better. I think it's bad. Yeah, if you got like 3 on 1 street. Okay, yeah. I guess it just became like a big thing for people to open up new pizza places. But yeah, I can barely keep track of all of them. And I live in Birmingham, Alabama, which it's a decently populated city, but it's not like, you know, Austin, Texas or LA or something. Like I can see like New York having a bunch of pizza places. But here it's like they're all over the place. But I think it's sort of like my city has been kind of like over the past 10 years or so has been trying to like, they've been trying to like improve the city and make it more attractive to tourists and make it clean it up a little bit, add more businesses. So a lot of people have been opening up bars and restaurants and stuff, and there's just a bunch of stuff. Sometimes they don't last that long, but sometimes they do. And so a lot of different stuff is open. I mean, the Italian neighborhood of San Francisco, pizza on every street corner. I can imagine. I've never been to San Francisco, actually. I would like to visit. I've been to LA, but not San Francisco. But it's like, are all these pizza places good? Like, how do you choose which one to go to? San Fran has a really friendly culture. That's cool. That's like one of the most expensive places to live, though, isn't it? In San Francisco, I heard it was like more expensive than LA. I might be wrong about that, though. But yeah, I mean, I should visit San Francisco. I kind of sometimes forget that it exists. Because whenever I think about California, you know, I'm just like a little southern boy from Alabama. Whenever I think about California, I just think LA. But clearly, there are other places than LA. We got one spot that's easily the best pizza on the West Coast. They say that LA pizza is not good. Well, East Coast people say that LA pizza is not good. I don't know about San Francisco pizza. The cheese board is the best pizza in San Francisco, so I've been told. Cheese board. I'll try to keep that in mind. They're a worker co-op. That's cool. See, that definitely sounds like some California shit. We don't have that here. We don't have co-ops in Alabama. There's probably something like that here, but yeah, it's not a big thing down here. Tony's Pizza. I used to think you couldn't mess up a pizza. How could you? But I've had some bad pizza. Yeah. I agree. I had the same experience. There's not to be crude or dirty, but there's a common statement where people say something like bad pizza is like a bad blowjob. Like, you'll take it anyway, or something like that. I forgot the quote, but it's something like that, implying that there's no such thing as bad pizza or a bad blowjob. And I can say there are bad versions of both of those things. Trans women in women's sports thoughts. That's a tonal shift for sure. My thoughts is I don't consider myself to be knowledgeable enough to really comment. I think the best people to listen to on that are people who are experts in athletics and sports, and also people who are athletic or who are experts in transgender biology and hormone medicine and stuff like that, neither of which I am. But I will say at some point we're gonna have to rethink how we do sports. because sports are usually separated by gender for a good reason. But obviously, as our understanding of gender continues to evolve, then our understanding of how we separate sports by gender should evolve as well. That's one of those topics where it's hard to hear a sophisticated argument on either side, because people are driven by their ideology and their feelings more than the facts most of the time. And so there's people on one side that have this idea that, trans women, it's usually about trans women, that trans women are just like dominating all the sports, which is clearly not true, because otherwise we'd be seeing all these trans women winning all the sports, which doesn't happen. And I think I saw a study that said that trans women don't win any more frequently than cis women. But then we have people on the other side who claim that there's zero difference between cis women and trans women, which is obviously not true. So, I just think we should listen to people who know what they're talking about and who have no political stake in the conversation. And I am not that person. Yeah, pizza's like a BJ, even when it's bad, it's pretty good. But yeah, that's not true. I've had real bad pizza and I've had bad blowjobs, unfortunately. I live in arguably the worst and most bland Midwest state that I've never been able to escape. I feel like everyone knows what state you're talking about. Maybe not though. I have a guess. I've been priced out of ordering pizza. I mean, that shit does get expensive. I'm in Canada, even Domino's with a coupon comes out to $27 plus tip. It's devastating. Yeah, it's expensive. You think sports are overvalued or valued just as much as they should be? I don't think there's any like objective measure of how valued it is. People love sports and people spend a lot of money on their fandom of sports. So because of that, it has a lot of value. So I think it's valued according to how much people love it, people like Americans love football more than hockey. Thus, football generates way more money than hockey. Football players get paid way more than hockey players. It's just based on what we support and what we put our money to. I don't think there's any like objective measure of what the value, Who I think is going to win the election this year? Well, after the Trump thing, I was like, well, Trump's definitely going to win now. But I don't know. Apparently the polling numbers have not changed since the event. So, it didn't have as much of a immediate effect as maybe I would have thought, but the fact that I think that it's more likely that Trump is going to win. That's my gut feeling. Every expert I've heard says there's a bigger difference between the most and least athletic man or the most and least athletic woman than there is between the average man and average woman. That doesn't sound right to me, but again, I don't know. But also, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But that is something to consider, because we talk about unfairness in sports, And that's why, for example, many sports like boxing and MMA, they have weight classes to make it fair. And they may have to do something like that to make it fair. But then there's other sports that don't have weight classes, like NBA, NFL, like fucking, back in the day, I used to watch Shaq. That dude was like 7'1", 320 pounds, just knocking everybody over. Clearly that's not fair. So, maybe. But it's more than just like physical size. There's like all kinds of things that go into it. It's like grip strength and like lung capacity and all kinds of shit that goes into it. I worked for a pizza spot. When a pizza isn't good, it's usually that the ingredients weren't made correctly. The dough has too much or too little yeast. The sauce isn't blended smoothly. Old toppings. Yeah, that's a lot of, yeah. I think sometimes it could be just your location that's bad. I've experienced this in other things outside of pizza. Like, for example, for years, I always said that I hate Subway. Like, I was like, Subway is trash, so bad. But I only said that because the Subway that was by me was bad. They used old ingredients. They didn't, I don't know. It was just bad. Once I went to other Subways, and I was like, oh, it's not all this bad. I'm not saying Subway is like super, super good or anything, but it's fine. But I went for years thinking that Subway was bad because of that Subway that was by me. So it could be that, yeah. What kind of bear is best? Black bear. NBA, NFL, team sports. True, but it's still not fair in a lot of situations. But the thing about it, like I said, before we started thinking about gender with more nuance, it didn't matter that Shaq was so much taller than the little guys because we were fine with it. But we're gonna have to think about it at some point. Maybe not now. It might take 10, 20, 30, 40 years, but we're gonna have to think about it and figure something out for sure. Because assuming we're operating, which we should operate under the fact that trans people exist, and some of them are going to want to play sports. So we have to figure out how we're going to do that. That's something we have to figure out. And it doesn't seem like it's going to work. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, maybe you just let them play with the gender that they are. I don't know. But it's gonna be different because trans people and cis people are different. That's just the case. And I think, and again, I'm not an expert, but I think trans people and cis people are different in a different way than a highly athletic man and a non-athletic man are different. But I could be wrong. I absolutely could be totally wrong about that. I want to stress that fact. Do you think Tommy had a job for real? And if so, what do you think that job was? I think someone solved that. I feel like I saw a video or an article. I think they said he worked at like a school or like a children's center or something. Yeah, he was a counselor at a Boys and Girls Club. doesn't make sense to have weight classes in team sports. I mean, maybe it just depends. We could. I mean, honestly, the NBA kind of has a class. Like it's not like hard line, but you pretty much have to be a certain height to play in the NBA. It's not obviously there's exceptions, but if you're like 5'3", you just can't play in the NBA. Like obviously there's Muggsy Bogues and like Spud Webb and some those are maybe the only two, but it's possible. But there is sort of a selection, so there's something there. It's just not like hard line encoded into the rules. Thoughts on Temu? Ever shopped on it? I shopped on Temu once and there was an issue and my order got canceled and I never got anything. And I know people who have successfully shopped on Temu, but after that experience, I was like, you know what? I gave it a shot. It was sketchy. I'm not going to do it again. What's my favorite subreddit? I don't know if I have a favorite. I really like the subreddit No Stupid Questions because it, encourages people to be curious without fear of judgment. So that one's cool. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's one that I've been thinking about recently. Have you considered out-of-state canvassing for the Dems? I intend to. Hard for me to focus on life at the moment because of this election. I don't intend to do that. I mean, this may be a controversial opinion, but I don't really take the presidential election that seriously. I mean, if I were to canvass, I would canvass for senators and Congress people, but the presidential election is kind of a joke to me. Like, it matters, but it's like the way that our system works is like most people's votes don't matter. So it's like, well, what's the point? But I do think votes for senators and Congress is very, very important. I feel like gendered sports leagues exist not for fairness of physical ability, but to prevent discrimination. So we should aim to include everybody somehow. Well, we should definitely include everybody. We can't just tell people you can't play, which is what some people want to do. But there is some measure of fairness. That's why heavyweights in boxing don't fight lightweights, because it's just not fair, And that's also why men don't fight women, because it's not fair. So that's why we have to think about how we're going to do this. Do I watch the Acolyte? No. Trans people are insignificant. We're not going to create policies for people who represent less than 1% of the population. Well, I mean, I think that's one way. That's one way to think about it. Is there's so few trans people that we just let them play with their gender, and it's fine because it's gonna have such a small effect. And that's why I say, like, there's people on the right or whoever, it's not all right-wing people, but there's people that are like, oh, trans women are fucking dominating all the sports. It's like, they're not. They're really not. There's like 3 of them. And the ones that are there aren't even winning. I think there was like one woman who was like winning in MMA or something. Like maybe one girl who won like a high school wrestling competition or something. And that's like it. There's like 3 total. So that's one solution that may be proposed, and we'll just see. We can just see. I don't know. And then, I hesitate to really get too detailed on, just because I'm not an expert, like I said. But there is, in certain sports, like combat sports, there's people are afraid of people getting hurt, because those are, like, if you put an average man in an MMA fight with an average woman, that woman could get seriously hurt. However, it's probably a mistake to say that that's the same as putting a cis woman in the ring, the trans woman, especially a trans woman who's like gone through like hormone replacement therapy or whatever you call it. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not educated enough to really know. Give up Reddit, switch to Lemmy? I don't even know what Lemmy is. Is that like a Reddit alternative? Sports are inherently unfair. People are born with various advantage, height, etc. Some folks have the genetic lottery on their side from the jump. That's definitely true. I think people would argue that the differences between genders are more significant than the difference among genders. Or the differences within genders. I don't know if that's correct though. But it seems like it could be correct. Because there's obviously there's physical size. And there's like physical strength, but there's other things that aren't as visible, like there's lung capacity and there's like hand size, things like that. There's little things that can make a difference depending on the sport. It's probably less of a big deal than the argument dictates. I think that's probably true in general of most trans debates, since, as someone mentioned, there's so few trans people, and the fact that it has become such a big issue in our society is kind of weird. But it's interesting. That's why I intend to canvas in nearby swing states. Yeah, I kind of get that. I guess I could go over to Florida. Yeah, it's just hard for me to take the presidential election seriously. Yeah, I guess Georgia would count as a swing state. Well, it's been about 2 hours. I'm gonna probably end the stream here in about 10 minutes. Probably answer a couple more questions and then take it home. I gotta actually get ready for my D&D game later. You had a YouTuber house party. Who are you inviting? So I don't know. Like, there could be people that I just would want to hang out with, but it could also be people that I admire and would just want to talk to. So there's two different things. I think if it was like people I just want to hang out with, I'd maybe like Hank Green. Well, Hank Green would be invited to both, I think. Lindsay Ellis, maybe. Swoozy. I'm a big fan of Swoozy. But there's a lot of people who I just like really admire and would like to learn from, and that's people like Michelle Carre is like amazing. I'd probably invite Mr. Beast. I wanna know what's going on in his head. DM a player? DM. I am the fabled forever DM. Did I hear that Jerry Seinfeld said woke is killing comedy? Yeah, I have heard about this. And it's like, this is like, I don't even know the word. This is like such a cringe talking point that is so stupid. Like, it's so obviously stupid. Like, do I think that people overreact to comedy? Absolutely. I've talked about this a lot of times. I think people need to chill out when it comes to comedy. Like, relax. It's just jokes. If you don't like them, just literally turn it off and go watch something else. Calm down. But the idea that comedy is dying or you can't tell jokes anymore is absurd. It's completely absurd. This is especially ridiculous from Jerry Seinfeld. He made a statement recently where he was like, we couldn't do certain episodes of our show, like talking about Seinfeld. We couldn't do a lot of those episodes today because of the woke culture. Which is like, bro, do you not realize that there is a show currently on TV that is like the same as your show, except 10 times more offensive? It's talking about He's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's like the same show, except pushed to the extreme. It's like, what do you mean? And there's this idea that like you can't tell certain jokes anymore. But it's like, what do you like? Who? Like who? Like Dave Chappelle? He got in trouble, or he got some criticism for some of his comedy specials. He keeps getting $50 million deals to do specials. They keep inviting him to host SNL. Like, it seems like he's doing fine, you know? Who? What do you mean? It's so stupid. And I like Jerry Seinfeld as a comedian. I think he's a funny guy. I think he's a smart guy. But this is such a stupid boomer take. It's just like, and it's not like, it's like so obviously wrong that's why it's like kind of obnoxious. It's like so obviously wrong. Like there's so like, have you ever seen It's Always Sunny? Have you seen Big Mouth? Have you seen South Park? Like there's so much offensive comedy on TV now. Like the problem is you have to be funny. I think this is the issue. These people say something that's not funny and then they get mad because people are offended. I promise you, here's the thing. If you say something offensive that is also funny, no one will care. I promise. Just don't be a hack. Look at comedians like even like Shane Gillis. He went through a little bit of a quote unquote cancellation. He is killing it now. And as far as I know, he's fine. People like him. He seems like a cool guy. But you know, look at I'm trying to think, what's this guy? I can't even remember, but yeah, there's like so many edgy comedians that are doing fine. Like it's just completely not a thing. Like this whole idea, I don't like this idea that whenever someone gets in the news that and they say something like kind of off-putting, now everyone jumps on the bandwagon. Is like, well, he was never funny anyway, you know, I never liked him anyway. It's like, okay, relax. Seinfeld was like literally the biggest show on television. Every person in America loved that show. Let's not pretend that people didn't think Jerry Seinfeld was funny. Okay, let's relax on that. I kind of, that's super cringe to me when people do that. It's like, oh, he was never funny anyway. Like, Jerry Seinfeld was literally the king of TV in the 90s. And he's a comedy legend. He may not be your personal taste, but don't pretend like he was never funny. Don't do that. That's cringe. But the stuff that he's doing now, and he's just an out of touch boomer. That's just how it is. I didn't even realize he was as old as he is. He's like 70 years old. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, I don't know. Comedians are super obnoxious. I've talked about this before. Not comedians in general, but these comedians that are complaining about woke culture is so stupid, and it's just kind of this sort of out of touch excuse for not like being unwilling to evolve your comedy and actually like improve and do stuff that's actually funny. But there's, there's like Andrew Santino, Tony Hinchcliffe. I was going to say Theo Von. I wouldn't say that he's like super offensive, but he does get into dark territory here and there. Like there's tons of edgy, quote unquote, offensive comedians that are doing fine. The difference is they're funny. They're not hacks, And if you're funny, then people don't care. Listen, this is the thing. Like Dave Chappelle is a good example. When I first saw Killing Them Softly, that old Dave Chappelle special, that was like the funniest thing I had ever seen in my life. That was so funny. And then Chappelle Show was super funny. And I rewatched Chappelle Show recently. It's still funny. You may think that it like doesn't age well, and there's certain parts that don't age well, but it's still good. It's still funny. If something is funny, it's you can you understand what they're doing. It doesn't come off as mean-spirited or hateful if it's actually funny. And I defy anyone to say that any of Chappelle's more recent specials is anywhere near as funny as that old stuff. Some of it is funny, but it's nowhere near as funny. He's fallen off, and he's upset that people don't like it. I mean, things can age well. Or things can age poorly. That's definitely a thing that can happen. But just because something aged poorly does not mean that it was hateful or that it was mean-spirited when it was made. Sorry, I went on a rant there because these comedians are obnoxious. But yeah, I think it's more of a thing about being not funny than being offensive, because there are plenty of offensive comedians. Watch a roast. It is like the darkest, most offensive shit possible, but it's usually funny to some extent, especially from certain comedians. And you notice like no one gets canceled for a roast, even though they say like the darkest shit. It's because people understand, oh, this is funny. We haven't gotten a new Parks and Rec, Office, 30 Rock ever since woke became a thing. Writers are too afraid. This have you seen Parks and Rec before? That's a pretty woke show. And I don't know what you mean, like we haven't gotten a new Parks and Rec, Office, 30 Rock. Are you saying we haven't got a good sitcom since then? Because that's definitely not true. Schitt's Creek is amazing. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is amazing. What's the other one I'm thinking of? I had one on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, we've definitely had good sitcoms since then. Abbott Elementary is good. Fleabag. There's tons of great shows. Well, see that, and this is why woke is bad, because basically woke just means whatever I don't like. So, you know, you can, if you like the show, then it's not woke. So when you bake into the definition of the word everything that you don't like, then you can't really argue against it. But as far as a show that is very heavily into feminism and social justice and political correctness, Parks and Rec absolutely falls into that. Anyway, I think that's, yeah. I probably shouldn't have fallen into the trap of using the word woke, because it's a buzzword that doesn't really mean anything. But I generally assume it to mean like any show that highlights, you know, identity politics and social justice and things like that. But if I personally like the show, then it can't be woke, obviously. It's like I can't argue against this sort of nebulous definition of woke. But the idea that there have not been any good sitcoms since Parks and Rec and 30 Rock is obviously wrong. And to me, those shows all are in the same vein. And in fact, they're like made by the same people, you know. The Good Place was made by Michael Schur, who also made Parks and Rec, you know. I don't know the question that I didn't answer, unless you're talking to someone else. Thoughts on Dawson's Creek? I've seen like 3 episodes of Dawson's Creek. I don't know that much about it. don't know if The Good Place is that funny, but I love it and it's weird, which there should be more of. I feel the same way actually. The first time I watched The Good Place, I was like, you know what, this isn't that funny, but I still love it. But actually, the more I rewatch it, the funnier, the more I appreciate the humor, and I think it's funny now. But it's just it's a good story. I think that's why The Good Place is so good, and I think he clearly had a story he wanted to tell, unlike a lot of sitcoms where they just kind of make it up as they go. I think he kind of knew what he wanted to do from the beginning with that show, and I think that's cool. Are you a fan of Childish Gambino, or did I listen to his last album? I did not listen to his last album, but I do like Childish Gambino. Like the stuff that I've heard. I listened to like his older albums a lot, but I haven't kept up recently. Just because it's the same people doesn't mean it won't change. I mean, that's true, but at this point, I don't even know like what you're calling woke and what isn't woke. It just seems like a very nebulous definition that changes depending on what we're talking about. So I can't really respond until I have an actual definition of what counts as woke and what doesn't count as woke. But I suspect that it will not hold up to scrutiny because the whole woke argument has always been bad. I don't think I've ever heard a compelling anti-woke argument. But I don't know, maybe you could change maybe you'll be the first one. Elsbeth, I've never seen. Pandering is just as nebulous as woke. That's a subjective thing. What you consider to be pandering may not be considered pandering by others. When you say something is pandering, you are purporting to read the minds of the people who make television shows, which is obviously not a thing you can do. So it's an opinion, which many will disagree with. And I don't know what you consider pandering. So that doesn't help. Have I ever had any addictions I had to quit? I had to pretty much give up alcohol. I don't think I haven't like 100% given up alcohol, but I've like 95% given up alcohol. Have I played Elden Ring DLC? I haven't played Elden Ring at all. My only compelling anti-woke argument is that going back to sleep for an extra hour is really refreshing. Is it? I feel like, well, I guess so. You can reasonably deduce that someone is pandering. I don't think you can. I think that's a very subjective opinion. In fact, usually when people say that someone is pandering, I usually think that they're full of shit. Usually it's just them saying that they don't like something and they're trying to, people do this a lot, is like they don't want to admit that their opinion is not a fact, so they try to come up with a way to validate their opinion. It's like, oh, they're pandering. That's what that it's not that I don't like it. It's like they're pandering. So usually when people say that, I don't buy it. So I don't It's not like a real. It's a vague thing to say. It doesn't mean anything. Especially when we're talking about TV shows. Like, if you're talking about a politician, then sure. But if you're talking about someone that's making art or making entertainment, it's like such a vague, weird thing to say. And it's very telling that like no examples have been given. And it's also not clear that pandering is bad. We haven't really established why exactly pandering is bad. It's just, it's like these vague ways that people talk about stuff. Anyway, I gotta go. I got a D&D game to go to. I appreciate the lively conversation. I don't know when I'll stream again, but hopefully it'll be soon. And I appreciate you all. I should have a new video coming soon, maybe next week. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. Be good. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.